Hi folks, in this video I'm going to show you how to embed a Google document into your Moodle page for the purpose of sharing your weekly calendar with your classes. So the very first step is to make sure that you have the editing turned on your Moodle page so that you have the option to add activities or resources. And I'm actually going to show you two different ways that you might embed the document. So the first thing and the most important thing is that you make sure that you're embedding it up in this top section of your Moodle page. This is what's going to show up on the top of your Moodle page regardless of which of the topics your students have navigated toward. So whatever you put above this line is always going to be pinned to the top of your Moodle page, and you want to make sure that the really essential information is pinned there. So the first way I'm going to show you is to add what's called a label, which is just essentially a placeholder on your Moodle page. So when we click on label and add, it will take us to the page where we can edit that label and add content. So sometimes when it opens this up for the first time, you only see the limited editing buttons. You might need to click this little button here in order to get the full array of editing buttons, because these two little carets here are the place where you will edit the HTML source. And the HTML source editor is where we're going to put the code that we will grab from Google Docs. So I'm going to leave this window open and navigate over to my document. So this is my weekly scheduled document for English 1. And in order to grab the code from this, I need to go up into the File menu and navigate down to the option where it says Publish to the Web. So when I click on this, one option is to get a direct link, which would open up the document in a new window. That's not what I want to do. What I want to do is embed that document right into my Moodle page. So I'm going to click on Embed first, and then I'll click on Publish. It always asks you if you're sure that you want to do it, and you are, so click yes. Another thing that I want to show you is to make sure in the published content and settings that it is automatically republishing whenever changes are made. That way you won't have to make any changes to your Moodle page once you've embedded this. Any changes you make in the Google Doc will automatically renew in the embedded page in your Moodle page. You also want to make sure not to require viewers to sign in with their MUHS account, because we want parents to have access to this information and they do not have a login. So we just want to make sure that those are checked, and if they are, we will copy this embed code and we're going to pull it back over here to our HTML source editor. Now we're almost done, but not quite. So the one thing that this code doesn't tell Moodle is how big to make the page within your Moodle page. And if we don't specify the size, it defaults to a really tiny window where you have to essentially scroll up and over and down to see anything on the document, and it's really awkward and just not very user-friendly. So what we need to do in this source editor is tell Moodle how we want the page to appear. So what we're going to do first is type the word width and then an equal sign, and then in quotation marks 100%. So what we are telling Moodle is to make sure that the width of the document is 100% of the width of the actual document. So it's going to show the document all the way across. And then we're going to tell it for height, H-E-I-G-H-T, yep, I know how to spell, equal sign, again in quotation marks. This time we're going to put 1000 px, end quotation space. So these two numbers are pretty important in order for the document to show up the way that we want it to within the page, within the Moodle page. So I will click Update, and what you're going to see in this preview screen is my document, which is exactly what I wanted to happen. So I will go down here and click Save and Return to Course, and now what you will see on my Moodle page, and I'm actually going to go up and turn editing off so you can see what that looks like. Is the document embedded right within my Moodle page. So everything that's here is over here now, and as I update it, it will update on my Moodle page. That is option number 1. Now, some people might look at this whole big long document and how much students have to scroll down to access the other content and be a little turned off by that. So there is one other option that I will give you for embedding this. What I'm going to do is delete this label. I'm going to say yes, I don't want it there. There is one other option. You can add this document as an embedded document on its own page. So I'm going to go here, and instead of label, I'm going to select page and add. Now, doing this is a little bit different. So we are not going to put the content of the page or the code of the page here in the description. We are going to give it a name because this will be the name of the link. So I'm going to call this English 1 weekly schedule, so that when my students see that link, they know exactly what it is and they know to click on it. Now, I could provide a description and display that description on my course page, but I think that my title is descriptive enough. So I'm going to skip over description and go down here to page content. So this is actually where I want to dump that HTML code. And I think it is. I still have it saved on my clipboard. So just as a reminder, I found that by going to the document, to File, to Publish to the Web, and my embed code is still there. And then I also need to do that width and height again, because even though it's on its own page, I still need to tell it how to size that page on the new page. So I'll do the same thing. Width equals 100% in quotation marks. Height equals, it's kind of dark in the room that I'm working in right now, so I can't see my keyboard very well. Height equals 1000 px. Both of those numbers or those values are included in quotation marks. So I think I have the code correct. I'll click update and I will see that embedded page show up in my preview. And now you'll see when I save and return to course, what this has done is it has created a link to a new page. So my English 1 weekly schedule now only takes up the space of a line at the top of my Moodle page, but when my students click on this, they will have that embedded document on its own page, and it'll keep as a running document. Just a word of advice for you that you want to keep the most recent week at the top of the document so that students don't have to scroll to infinity to find the information that they need. Okay? So that is embedding documents in your Moodle page 101. Thank you so much.